name is Barbara Altman. I'm Clark County. Mark, would you be willing to dismantle the Department of Education? We know we have layers of bureaucracy in educating our children. It's been a problem all across our country, especially here in Nevada. And I am very passionate that something drastically has to be done. Will you be willing to bring it back to the states where it was prior?
Thank you, Barbara. I see I have 30 seconds. So here's the quick version. In the 14 months that's left in this term, with Harry Reid in charge in the Senate before election 2012, and Barack Obama still hanging out at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, what I would concentrate on for this amount of time is to try to dismantle incrementally the Department of Education's budget and put those in block grants to go down to the states, God bless America, without strings that increase the education funding, but send the money instead of inside the Beltway to the states for block grants and get those decisions out of that 5,000 bureaucracy in Washington. Thank you, and there's a fire. Please do not clear the room.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Grigbow.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here. I want to recognize my wife who's here with us today, and I want to recognize all of the candidates. I appreciate your commitment to public service. And I want to thank all of you who are here. You don't need me to tell you this, but you are the heart and soul of our party. I appreciate your participation in this process. And let me address right up front, to answer my good friend Mike Weber's question, absolutely, I will support the nominee that this party supports. My fellow Republicans, our nation is in trouble. We have runaway spending. We have a spiraling national debt. We have an out-of-control regulatory bureaucracy, including the EPA that seems intent on destroying all job creation in this country, and the National Labor Relations Board that doesn't seem to understand the meaning of the words right to work. We have an illegal immigration crisis in this country. And what happens when our neighbors to the south in Arizona try to do something about it? The Obama administration sues them. We are off track, ladies and gentlemen. We have a foreign policy, or do we have a foreign policy? And then there's Obamacare. We didn't need it, we didn't want it, we can't afford it, and we must repeal it. Folks, our Constitution is under attack in Washington every day, and it's time we did something about it. It's time to change the way we do business in Washington, and we need to do it now. You have the opportunity today, each and every one of you, to send a message, to pick a representative who can go to Washington and fight for change. Let me tell you today who I am, what I believe in, and why I think I'm the best choice to be your next representative in Congress. First of all, I'm a Nevadan. I grew up here. Like all of you, I love this state. And like all of you, I'm committed to seeing that its future is just as bright as it can possibly be. I'm a proud Republican, just like all of you. I've sat where you sit today. I've served on the Washoe County Central Committee, the State Central Committee. I served as Vice Chair of the Washoe County Party. I understand your commitment to this party, and I share it. I should support the ideals of our party, including our fundamental principle of limited government. And I'm committed to helping this party turn this state bright red in 2012. I'm committed to public service. You know my resume by now. You know that I've served our country as a naval officer. You know that I've served as a state legislator. You know that I've served as our U.S. Attorney. And you know that I've served in Washington, D.C., fighting the war on terror. I have the right experience for the job, but accomplishments, not titles, is what you all care about. So let me tell you what I've done. Some call for a strong national defense. I have served on the front lines of our national defense. Some call for fiscal discipline. Well, let me tell you, I've fought for that in Carson City. In fact, this past session was a tough one, as you all know. And I'm committed to all of you that I would not support an increase in taxes and that's exactly what I did. I did not support an increase in taxes. When we've had budget crisis in the state, some have proposed billion-dollar tax increases. I have fought against those. Some have supported the expansion of our state government. I have fought against that. Some talk about tougher immigration enforcement. As your chief federal prosecutor, I have prosecuted personally illegal aliens and the companies who knowingly hire them. Some talk about the Second Amendment. I have fought for your Second Amendment rights in Carson City every day I've served there, co-sponsoring important legislation to defend and expand your right to bear arms. Some talk about fighting the power of public sector unions. Well, I've been there and I've done that. I've fought for reform in Carson City. I've fought to reform the collective bargaining process, not to expand it. And I will do the same in Washington. I have a record, ladies and gentlemen. I have a clear record of fighting the special interests, of doing what's right. It's a record that I'm proud of, that I don't need to stand up here and explain, and that I'm never going to run from. But let's be clear, I'm not a career politician. I've worked virtually all of my professional career in the private sector. Yes, I've volunteered for government service. When that call went out, I answered it. But my private sector experience is important. It's important to me, and I think it's important to all of you. I understand taxation. I understand the regulations that private businesses have to live under. I understand that when a business doesn't have enough money coming in, it can't print money like the federal government does. I get it. And most important, I think the most important part of my resume is that I'm a husband of nearly 20 years, married to the same woman. We have 2 wonderful daughters, and it's their future I care most about. That's what drives me and motivates my public service. But just as important as who I am is what I believe in. I know it's the same core conservative values that you all believe in. Limited government, lower taxes, reducing, not increasing the national debt, real education reform, and yes, I would advocate on day one in Congress the elimination of the Federal Department of Education. I support strong enforcement of our immigration laws and securing our border. I support a common sense foreign policy that is based on 2 things and 2 things only: the Constitution and our national security interests. And I do support a balanced budget, and I do support the Paul Ryan plan. It's the best plan out there. We need to get behind it. The current path we're on is not sustainable. And most fundamentally, I believe in our Constitution. And I believe that government should do no more than the Constitution allows. I believe in a government that stays out of our personal and private lives and our business lives. I believe that in government that lives up to our founding principles: limited powers, economic freedom, and individual liberty. So why am I running? Why me? Well, you heard about my experience, and I think I have the experience to do the job. I believe, as you all believe, that we need a strong conservative voice in Congress. Someone who will fight for change. Someone who will represent his constituents, not the special interests. Someone who is not afraid to shake things up, to take bold decisions, to do the big things, to meet the tough challenges, to challenge the conventional wisdom, to tackle the biggest problems of our day. I am that person, and I can win. And after all, I think we can agree that this is all about winning. Make no mistake about it, the Democrats see an opportunity. They will throw everything they have at this election. We must nominate a candidate who will outwork the Democrats, who will outsmart the Democrats, and yes, who will outraise the Democrats. Because let's face it, we can complain all we want about the influence of money in politics, but we can't win this race or any other race without raising the money. I've got a team in place to do it, and I will commit to you right now that the first 30 days of this race, I could raise $500,000, and that's just the beginning. We can raise the money, and we can win this election. Now, the whole nation is going to be watching. You all know that. After the New York debacle, the Democrats think they can win this. The bad news is they can win it. The good news is we can stop them. We need to get together and work hard, and we can win. The Democrats have picked their candidate, and you know who that is. And let me tell you something. If you like Barack Obama, and you like Harry Reid, and you like Nancy Pelosi, you're going to love Kate Marshall. We can and must win this election. I'm the candidate that can assure us a victory in September. No one's going to work harder. Let's not take any chances. The stakes are too high. And if elected, let me assure you all, I will work to build this party. We can become a majority party in this state again. I will help candidates of our party wherever I can. And if I'm not the nominee, as I said, I will support our choice. But folks, let me be clear about one thing. And as I've traveled this state, I know you all agree with this. This is not a popularity contest. You all know that. As I've traveled around to the rural counties, and I've been in every one of them in the last 10 days, I hear from Republicans make it clear that they understand that this choice is a critical one. You are choosing your voice in Congress, but you're also choosing your future. This is an opportunity to send a message to Washington that we want our government back. Am I done? I didn't see the 1-minute warning. Finally, let me just say this if I can. I'm willing to take the fight to Washington. If you will join me in that fight, we can win. I need your vote. I will appreciate your vote. Thank you very much.
Questions for the senator, please? Robert again.
Robert Rupert, Clark County. Good morning, Senator Brower.
Thank you
for being here. What is your position on the Defense of Marriage Act and also Roe versus Wade, please?
I support the Defense of Marriage Act. I think that marriage is between a man and a woman. And if our state decides that's the case legally, then that's the way it ought to be. And with respect to Roe versus Wade, I'm not going to suggest to you that that's the best reasoned legal decision ever. But I will tell you that when it comes to that right or that issue, I believe it's an individual choice. And I don't think government should get involved fundamentally. I will tell you, though, that I do support reasonable government restrictions, such as the parental notification law we have in this state that our state attorney general has refused to enforce. I called upon her to enforce that earlier this session, and I call upon her to enforce it today. That's where I am on those issues. Thank you, sir.
Jim Slade from Clark County. As you know, China has all of our debt. They make all of our products, and all of our money flows there. Now the money's flowing back to America, and they're buying our assets and our natural resources. Case in point is the molybdenum mine here in Eureka, and China now owns a majority interest in that project. And I'm just wondering from you, is there anything we can do to slow down this financial invasion?
Well, I think one of the things we can do, that's an excellent question, one of the things we can do and we must do as a nation is achieve energy independence. As long as we are beholden to foreign sources of oil, whether it's the Middle East or elsewhere, we're going to be in a position where we don't have enough leverage over countries and competitors like China. We're going to see creditor nations develop their militaries in a way that destroys the balance of power in this country, in this world. And we're going to see China increase in power, and we're going to see our leverage with respect to China decrease. So we need energy independence. We need to become less of a debtor nation, and we need to be wary of the rise in creditor nations around the world who control more of our destiny than we should allow.
Any more questions for the senator? Yes,
Yeah. Good.
My name's Maureen Karras. I'm from Clark County. I'd like to know your position on NATO. Gates gave a speech about that and his concerns with NATO, mainly because of the fact